So good morning, everyone. It is now 10:02, and we will go ahead and begin this morning's Small and Minority Business Advisory Committee meeting. I would like to once again thank you all for being here today. My name is Brenton Brown. I'm Chief of Staff here with the Commission for Minority Affairs. I'm bringing greetings on behalf of our Executive Director, Dr. Dolores DaCosta, who unfortunately is unable to be with us on this morning, but she does send her regards, and she does thank you all for the wonderful work that you are doing in the state of South Carolina to make sure that we are reaching those critical areas and critical communities that need our support. As we'll begin on today, we're going to follow the agenda as has been set. And once again, I've come with the welcome. But what I would also like to do before we move a little bit further along is kind of give some updates. And so what I will do very briefly is kind of share my screen to talk about some of the things that are going on here at the agency. And then I will turn it over to Ms. Jasmine Goodwin, who is our Small and Minority Business Program Coordinator. So I'm going to share my screen for you. And as everyone can see the legislature, the updates.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So some of the things that we have been working on as an agency that particularly affects minority small business communities here in the state. What we have is a legislative update, and so the General Assembly is getting towards the end of the budget season. The House has already finalized their budget and sent that over to the South Carolina Senate. The Senate is currently in the process right now of reviewing the budget, making their own additions, and they're voting on it actually this week. And some things that concern the agency that we would like for you to be made aware of. There's a proviso that was introduced into the budget, and we're still waiting to see how it's going to be finalized. But for the last 2 to 3 years, Dr. DaCosta has worked very diligently on trying to grow the agency in a very deliberate way. And so what she would like to do is, and we've gotten confirmation from the governor's office, from the Department of Administration, and from the South Carolina House, is to merge the Division of Small and Minority Business Contracting and Certification. That is the office within the state of South Carolina that produces certifications for minority-owned and women-owned businesses. The South Carolina House is in support of this proviso to merge SMBCC with CMA. However, at this time, the South Carolina Senate is not in support of this particular proviso. And so this will go to a conference committee, which will be made of 3 senators and 3 representatives. And then they will kind of iron out the details and some of the discrepancies between the House's version of the budget bill and the Senate's version of the budget bill. And at the appropriate time, what we would like is for the members of the committee to engage in some advocacy on behalf of the agency, which is to send in a letter to those conference committee members, having them understand the importance of CMA, but also really having them understand the work that we do within the minority small business community here in the state of South Carolina, and really kind of advocating for that particular merger. And so, as I mentioned before, the governor is on board with the merger happening. So is the South Carolina House. However, the South Carolina Senate is a little bit hesitant with that. And so what we would do at the appropriate time is send out some more information on this particular proviso. I see, Mr. Davis, you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
know why, I'm sorry, good morning, everyone. Do you know why the Senate is objecting to the SMBCC transitioning over to a CMA? I mean, currently, I think there's a staff of 1, and he is extremely overwhelmed. We get complaints probably every other week asking about the time it takes for the certification process. So I am curious, if you could shed some light on why the Senate is objecting to it.
I previously, there were some senators who believed that a merger with SMBCC and the Fiscal Accountability Authority would be a little bit more appropriate. We have talked with the leadership at SPA, as they are known, and they are in support of, of course, growing their agency. But if the legislature were to decide to send it to us, to all of my knowledge, they would not have an objection to that. But once again, I haven't gotten anything more definitive than that, unfortunately. So sometimes, as you know, sometimes legislators have their own prerogative and kind of operate off that. We've received some of the same complaints that you have. We've been out in the community, and in fact, I received a phone call 2 days ago from someone who was pretty irate that he had sent in information, and I had to remind him that that is a totally separate agency from who we are. So we're just kind of playing the wait and see approach as of right now. And if I can give you some more information, I'll definitely do that at the appropriate time. But it just seems that some of the legislators on the Senate side have their prerogative that last year they had filed a bill to merge them with us, and then decided at the last second that Fiscal Accountability Authority would be better. That bill was not filed this new legislative session. And so essentially it's popped up as a proviso right now, basically to delete the merger with CMA and SMBCC.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the information.
Yes, sir. Going a little bit further on, I have some updates from Dr. Robert Fenton, who is our research director. And unfortunately, he was on the schedule for this morning, but he had a scheduling conflict. And so I want to give some updates about his division first, and then I'll come back and talk about the Get Connected SC campaign. The research and planning division here at the agency has added on 2 new members for pretty much the majority of his tenure. Dr. Fenton has been the only person in our research division. However, he now has 2 colleagues who are helping him with research. That's Mr. Jacuris McLeod and Mr. Max Patushko. And so both of those gentlemen have joined us within the last several months, and they're making great additions to our research division here at CMA. 2 months ago, back in February, we had the official launch for our 2021 statistical profile, which has been met with rave reviews from constituents and stakeholders and legislators all across the state. And so that work was produced, primarily by Dr. Fenton, with others here in the agency working with him as well. And so we're very, very proud of the work that is being produced in the research division. As you all know, I always tell people, when you think about CMA, think about 2 things, R&R, which is research and resources. And so we're really living up to that research piece, with a lot of people loving the research that's being produced from that division. They are in the process of updating program area fact sheets. And so for our multicultural affairs division, we have fact sheets for all of our statutory constituent areas: African American, Asian American, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, Latino, and Native American. And what we also have are fact sheets in regards to small business. He is currently in discussion with the outreach division on developing new fact sheets for the programs under our outreach division, which are going to focus on faith-based initiatives, small and minority business, and also second chance reentry. And then some information was sent out a while ago, but this is just as a reminder for individuals, and we will place this in the chat box for you, to take our strategic planning survey for advisory committee members. This is helping the agency move forward as we do short and long-term planning. Later on, we're going to hopefully onboard so that we have a full board of commissioners, which will be the first time we've had a full board in several years. And we're working with the governor's office and the Senate right now to make sure that we have these individuals confirmed. And thus, after they're confirmed, we're going to be working on our strategic plan. And so this advisory committee survey will really help us with our strategic planning to make sure that we are setting the agency up best in the short term and long term for the goals that we want to meet. And then kind of going back to the top, I want to talk about the Get Connected SC campaign. If you have not been aware, there have been federal dollars set aside to ensure broadband expansion throughout the state of South Carolina. The South Carolina Department of Administration is offering what's called the Digital Equity Grant. That is to make sure that individuals have the devices and the infrastructure available to be able to connect to the internet. And then the Office of Regulatory Staff is overseeing what's called the BEAD grant. And that grant is more focused on ensuring that Wi-Fi and high-speed internet is placed at the doorstep of every South Carolinian. And so what we have been doing for the past several months is working not just with ORS in the Department of Administration, but partners statewide to ensure that at least 30,000 people are taking what is known as the Better Internet Survey. That survey informs decision makers about where internet needs to be placed. And the ultimate goal is to make sure that internet is at the doorstep of every South Carolinian within the next 5 years. Currently, the overall goal is 32,000 survey responses completed by the end of May. CMA's goal is 2,500 responses. Of that current goal, we are at 500 or 20%. And currently to the overall contribution, we're at 11.6%. So as a very small agency, doing a lot of great work in communities, we're really punching above our weight class. But any help that you can offer to us by spreading the word about the digital equity survey, making sure that South Carolinians in all parts of the state have access to high-speed internet would be sincerely appreciated. And so those are the updates that I have at this particular point right now. I will make sure that I place in the chat box the link to the advisory committee survey and also information on Get Connected SC. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. But at this time, I will stop sharing my screen and I will send it over to Jasmine, who will lead the rest of this morning's meeting.
Thank you, Brenton. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining this meeting today. As Brenton stated, my name is Jasmine Goodwin. I'm excited to be here as the new Small Minority Business Program Coordinator and to have the opportunity to work with this esteemed advisory committee. I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. And if we haven't had a chance to connect one-on-one, I'd love to set up some time to do so. As a brief overview of my goals for the division and my role, I intend to focus on 4 key areas: community, capital, connections, and content. I'm excited about our continued partnerships in achieving these goals and the many different opportunities to collaborate in supporting these communities. As we work together, I did want to encourage you all to make use of our project proposal form to suggest ideas and initiatives that can help us mutually achieve our goals. I'd be happy to share and send over that form or perhaps drop it in the chat during this meeting or following the meeting to anyone that's interested. In conclusion, I did want to again express my enthusiasm in collaborating with you all and supporting small and minority-owned businesses in the state. I'll now pass it over back to Britton for our open committee discussion, just for any feedback, comments, or thoughts you may have pertaining to small and minority businesses or the division overall.
Thank you, Jasmine. And then, of course, over the course of the next several months and weeks, you'll definitely have an opportunity to meet Jasmine in a one-on-one capacity. She blew us all away during her interview with her intellect and her experience and expertise. And so she's done a great job just over the past several weeks as she's gotten acclimated to CMA. And so we're definitely happy to have her on our team working with small and minority businesses here in the state of South Carolina. But now is the time that we would like to open it up to see, to hear from you, to see what you are seeing in your corner of the state, to see what you are hearing about in your areas and how we can support you in the work that you are doing, and to see how that ties in with what we are doing here as an agency. So now is just kind of an open session. Please feel free to come off of mute, come on to the camera, and share some of the things that are going on in your area. Is there anyone? I'm gonna have to take it back to my high school teaching days where I just start randomly calling on people who want to get an answer. Greg, if you don't mind, if you have an opportunity, if you can talk about some of the things that SCDOT is doing with DBE expansion and anything that we can do to support that.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. We're extremely busy. Quite frankly, anybody who's ridden on a road, they realize that it's either just been done, slated to be done, or need to be done. Our budget went, I think, about 5-6 years ago, we were right a little less than $1 billion, and currently we have about $4.5 billion worth of work on the street. And that's going to even expand by the end of the year. We'll have over $5 billion worth of work. That's the good part. The challenging part is trying to find businesses who are ready, willing, and able to bid some of the work and to compete in our markets. We, like everyone else, I'm sure, you've noticed some of the issues that we have with our small businesses with regards to labor force. That's been a huge issue. I'm not quite sure what happened to all the population throughout COVID, but it seems as though the workforce has just disappeared. And what's interesting is, I think New York Times last month issued an article that stated that South Carolina is the third fastest growing state in the nation. So we have folks coming in, but apparently they're all retired because no one wants to work. But that's one of the issues we're working with. Also, the businesses that we serve are having issues with regards to rising prices of fuel and materials. And I'm sure all of you have been working on that as well. With regards to labor, one of the things that we've been encouraging is having businesses coordinate with each other and not necessarily form joint ventures, but at least some type of teaming arrangement, so that during those times when they need additional workforce, then they can subcontract to another firm and vice versa. So that's kind of helped with the labor shortage. However, with the fuel prices and the prices of everything that skyrocketed, the steel, concrete, all of the products that we use to build roads and highways and bridges have just expanded. So that's another challenge that we're facing. And we've come up with some solutions. We've actually, our secretary has decided to provide some indexes whereby we look at the cost that a small business bidded. On some projects, they may bid 1 year and the project doesn't come to fruition till 3 years later. So what we have done is we've looked at the prices that they quoted during the initial bid, and we've actually made allowances to help pay with that delta, that rise in cost. And that's unheard of across the nation, but we were able to do that. That's about it for us, just continuing to be busy. I mentioned earlier that because SMBCC have some challenges right now with regards to the speed that they take in certifying individuals, we've actually assisted them by including a one-page SMBCC affidavit with our application. And basically anybody who's certified with us, they complete that one page, which allows us to send the information over the SMBCC as well as our on-site visit. SMBCC, like us, one piece of it is once we get the application, we actually go and do an interview with the businesses. So that's been helpful to them. The fact that we're doing the paperwork during the site visit, giving them the information, and that kind of speeds up the process for them. We're grateful that we're able to do it. Right now we have the staff to do it, so we're grateful for that. The only challenging part is when we get applications from people who own beauty salons and nail salons. As we don't buy hairdos and manicures, so it's kind of a stretch for us, but we're happy to help in that regard. Thank you for letting me share, Brenton, and I'll turn it back to you.
Well, a quick question. Is there anything that we can do at CMA to assist you, maybe kind of getting some more word out to communities about exactly what types of businesses should apply for the DBE program? Is there anything that you need assistance with on our end that we can help you with?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the offer. The way the statute is written, if someone asks to be DBE certified, we don't turn them away. So as far as the types of businesses that need to be certified, we have to take them if they ask. We'll warn them that we don't do those sorts of things. But some of the non-traditional type businesses that people don't think about with roads and bridges and highways. One, for example, is the electrical contractors. Recently, actually yesterday, I met with a group of 10 electrical contractors because of all the opportunities that's going to be brought about as a result of NEVI. I'm sorry. I'll use all these acronyms. NEVI is the National Electric Vehicle Initiative. The bipartisan infrastructure bill will be flowing money to the state of South Carolina to put operating systems and electrical charging stations. So we've kind of met with those vendors to let them know what they need to do in order to be prepared to get that kind of work. And then the other thing that, as you talk with the clients that you all serve, it's just to remind them that although SCDOT, our primary area is roads, highways, and bridges, I mean, we have 46, but we have, maintenance offices in every county. We have district offices, across the state. And all of these offices do everything from having people to do housekeeping, to washing windows, to janitorial services, to changing carpets. So all the services and products that any business use, each of our regional offices use those. So if a firm, is a window washer, there are opportunities for us to wash windows. So to kind of get that word out, a lot of times people will shy away from us if they're not really in the road, highway, and bridge area. The only other thing that you all can do is help us get the word out to our elected officials of the fact that currently we do not have goals on state projects. Now, what does that mean? Well, on projects that we receive federal dollars from USDOT or through the Federal Highway Administration, we have an annual goal currently of 12%, which means that our goal is to make sure that 12% of every dollar that we receive from the federal government, from the USDOT and Federal Highway Administration, is given to our certified disadvantaged businesses through opportunities. How we do that is put goals on projects. We'll tell a prime contractor, based on this project, you may have this $100 million project, but 12% or 10% or whatever percentage rate has to go to our certified DBEs, which is great. Unfortunately, on the state side, we don't have that caveat. The legislators have not approved for us to put goals on state projects. And at one time when our budget was primarily federal projects, it was not really a big deal. But currently, almost about half of our projects are state-funded projects now, which means of that, $5 billion that I mentioned that we'll have, half of that money.
Let me know.
Hey, Chad.
Tell me.
Good morning. Your speakers in the chat. So currently,
Sorry, Greg, you're on mute, Greg.
sorry
Okay.
about that.
No problem.
So currently, half of the projects that we have, we can't put goals on it, which means that on some of our state projects, which tend to be our smaller projects, our rural road projects, our safety projects, we can't put goals on it. So if you have an opportunity to speak with legislators, just tell them about the importance of putting goals on state projects. If you meet with small businesses, tell them to talk with their elected officials about how it really help them grow their businesses if we're able to put goals on those projects. Because currently, if a company from Texas comes in and gets a huge project, there's nothing that we can do to encourage them to use our local, small and women-owned businesses in our state. And I've said more than enough, so thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for that information. That's definitely helpful. And so we'll definitely, definitely appreciate that. So thank you once again for that update. Next, I see Les. Do you want to talk about some of the work that you're doing out in the Florence and the PD area?
Sure, no problem, Brenton. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
To be honest with you, just to echo some of the things Greg touched on, rising fuel prices, lack of labor force. We're seeing companies slowly but surely and somewhat begrudgingly wages starting to go up. which is a good thing. But some of the same issues there, supply chains, ongoing issue, getting better in some industries, some not so much. On our end, we're still hitting the ground with our leadership programs. As it relates to CMA, to some extent, we have the most diverse leadership Florence class we've ever had, which gives more access and exposure to more of our leaders. We do have a state of small business event coming up in May for Small Business Week, in which we'll talk to some of our smaller minority businesses, about the state of small business, what's going on, et cetera, and kind of bring them up to speed. We have Department of Commerce coming in to speak. So we're looking forward to having that. Other than that, we're just, programs and events. We had to build some padding into our price structure because food's going up, event venues are going up, et cetera. So, that's a side of it that people don't see, but we haven't really raised any prices on anything in many, many years, any fees on anything in years. And now we're finding ourselves kind of having to do that. But other than that, we're still, kind of maintaining our usual chamber programs, events, et cetera. So, that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. And please send us information on the small business event that's going to occur in May, so we can disseminate that out amongst our networks, and then also hopefully maybe have a presence there as well to support that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem. Chad, how are you doing? I saw that you just joined, but we're just kind of at the phase right now where we're just talking amongst the advisory committee members about things that are going on in their workspace and how the advisory committee and the agency can support anything that you're working on.
Yeah, so there's a handful of things, and it was really good to see Greg Davis on the camera. The first time I saw Greg and I met him, he said, I said, I can't believe I've never seen you before. And Greg said, well, you've probably seen me on America's Most Wanted, but I'm going to tell you, Greg, with the beard and the glasses and all that, you lost all that weight. You're looking, there's no way I'd ever think you'd be on America's Most Wanted. Maybe I took your place. I don't know. So I'll throw and Greg, let's catch up soon, man. Hadn't seen you in a while. So I'll talk about a couple of activities or things we're doing, and then I'm going to throw out a couple of opportunities. And I'm going to do it like, I'm just going to tell you, like, they're crazy things. I have no idea how to do them, but I want to push them. So all that being said, I'm at University of South Carolina. I'm in the Office of Economic Engagement. Part of that role, we manage 3 incubator facilities. One of them is the USC Columbia Technology Incubator, which is over on Laurel Street. The other one, which is kind of what I call the community incubator. The second incubator is the wet lab incubator we have and called Idea Labs in Horizon 1 on corner of Main and Bull Street. Main and Blossom, sorry. And, that one is really for companies that are doing what I call more high-tech type work. Most companies don't need a lab. And then the third one is our industry incubator, and we're engaging industry partners like Siemens, Samsung, Michelin. We're getting ready to start something big with them. And in that lab, we are creating an industry environment in a university setting, and we're giving our engineering undergrads, master's, PhD students, the ability to have what I call kind of a technical college, hands-on experience while they're getting their 4-year degree. And I know for a lot of you, that might sound crazy, but the truth is that engineers and people in college and universities have the same problems that the tradespeople have, which is they get out and they don't have any real world experience. They don't know how to use the tools and computers and things like that. And so that's a real need that we're addressing on the on the workforce side for the technical talent. That being said, I've kind of was point for USC on the Scout project, and I'm working with Brad Neese. So one crazy idea I'm working on is what would a Ready SC for technical and professional talent look like for these big manufacturing companies we bring in. The manufacturing companies we bring in, absolutely, they create tons of jobs and opportunities for our trade and skill workers, and that's fantastic. We should never stop doing that. However, they also create opportunities for these technical people. The universities, and when I say universities, I mean all of them, not just USC. We do a horrible job of actually preparing and fitting these students for these roles. Having the degree is what gets them in the door. So we're going to work with the state, commerce, and other people about what would a Ready SC for the state of South Carolina look like, where we can actually have a solution that prepares this talent for companies like Scout and things like that. Also talking with, like I said, talking with commerce and other people. I believe also doing this could create opportunities for our HBCUs, and also could create opportunities for minorities, because that's also a big component. Is these employers, they obviously need engineers. They need the best people to run these plants. That's also, in my mind, an opportunity for excellent minority participants to be exposed and to get exposure in this program. And we could do this for everybody. We could do it for Benedict. We could roll it out with SC State, Claf. I mean, whatever, you name it. You know, we would like to have this where we have a part of this all over the state at multiple places, and we're supporting that. So anybody want to come over and whiteboard with me or give me crazy ideas, let me know. But that to me is an opportunity. That is something that is designed to elevate and create opportunities for the best people in South Carolina. I believe that minorities are absolutely part of that as well. So, you know, anybody got any ideas, let me know. Second one is we are working, we got a $200,000 grant from Truist a year ago. And what we did with that grant is we gave away approximately $150,000 of that money. We worked with a group called Path to Redemption, Lester Young. Some of you might know him. We did some work with him and the Meeting Place Church. And we gave away, 40 to 50 scholarships for people getting out of prison. And they got OSHA forklift training. They got plumbing training, and they were hired on the spot. We matched them with jobs, and CVS also funded that as well. And I actually owe Bishop Freeman a call for the net, you know, for what we're doing now. We also gave $500 scholarships with Ben Rex and the Cadillac program to the Midlands Tech program for doing the basically free IT training. We also designated some of those scholarships to support minorities who needed, one of the things we learned is you can give minorities and people in disadvantaged situations all the free training and education they want. The problem is they still got to pay their bills and have a day job. So we actually took some of that money and we carved out 10 $4,000 scholarships to fund people's living expenses so they can actually take this training and feed their family and pay rent and do all that stuff they need to do. So we did that. And then the third one is we worked with a guy named Chris Williams in our incubator. He's got a company called AI Nautics, and he was doing drone certification. And we funded, 40 to 50 drone certification students. Some of those were minority, some of those weren't. Chris Williams is a minority business owner. And he, so we're supporting him. I use the champion model, which means, I don't need to be the guy going into minority communities and engaging those communities because, I'm not one of them. I'm not, that's not my background. So, we have a model of finding champions like Meeting Place Church, like Lester, like Chris, like anybody else, and saying, hey, how do we empower and engage champions in these communities to go out and reach, those communities and pull those people in. One of the statistics that really to me expresses this story is that for the last 3 years, we've had all this federal funding flowing down to the technical colleges. And I could be wrong, but what I've heard is that anybody can walk in these technical colleges, get any kind of thing, and it's paid for 100%. What I've heard during this time is that their enrollment has jumped a whopping 4%. So what that tells me is that the people that really need the people that are out there that we all know that, could have a better job, could be upskilled, they're either underskilled or they need to be upskilled. They have the opportunity to go places and do that. What I'm learning is that there's a very low level of trust of these types of organizations in these communities. The people we need to reach the most are not going to walk into the technical college and fill out a form. Most of them, and this is also a general statement too, is that like a lot of people have a lot of trauma and pain and suffering as a result of our educational system that may or may not have taken care of them either. So like that's a whole other thing as well. So we actually just renewed with Truist. We got another $500,000 for 2 years. I've also submitted another grant with Richland County for $600,000, and they're reviewing that right now. If anybody has contacts with Richland County and wants to know more about what we're doing and can advocate on our behalf for that Richland County grant, please give me a call. But the thing that we are doing in this next round of Truist funding is we're using a different model. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hire somebody to kind of handle it, because if anybody knows me, if it goes through me, it's going to take forever because I've got way too many things going on. But the other thing we're going to do is use that money to pay for a caseworker or a case manager. We're working with Department of Corrections right now. We're working with people that are getting out nonviolent, 6 months, they're ready to get out. We're working with a group in the incubator, they're a placement firm. They're meeting with these people and they're making sure they've got fundamental things: bank account, place to stay, transportation. We actually got those people to create and make that a certification. So we've certified 20 people out of Department of Corrections. We're offering scholarships to fund that effort, to fund that caseworker. We're also celebrating with them when those workers hit that 60-day milestone, which is the permanent, which is when like they typically, if you make 60 days, then like you're not going to leave and you're going to stay employed and things are going to go well. So that's one thing. The other thing is that we're working with a group called Connections, and they're local people from the minority community, Robert Day. And we actually have retrofitted part of our incubator basement to be a place where we can do electrician certification. So we're going to take some of that money from Truist. We're going to fund about 10 electrician certification, 10 people to become electrician certified. And those people, the difference between what we're doing in Midlands Tech is probably nothing for electrician certification, but a big difference is where I'm working with Robert Day, who's got a passion for his community. He's got a reputation in his community. He can do outreach. He can pull these people in. They're going to trust him, and he's going to go get people who probably otherwise would never, darken the door of a technical college. So the goal we have here, the role that we think we can play on the incubator side is actually the same role that we're playing on the university side, which is one of the roles that we see is desperately needed, is the role of what I call an introducer. So we are looking at the incubator and saying, how do we use this Truist money to be introducers of people that need this stuff the most? Minorities, disadvantaged populations, opportunity zone, you name it. How can we leverage the friendly and open atmosphere of the incubator and use that to create a welcoming environment for these people to come in, have the champions on site that can do this, and then basically help transform those lives. And my job in this whole thing is to get funding for it and get out of the way. So we're doing that. We're also looking at potentially taking part of our parking lot and putting a fence around it. Because another one we have, another area that we've gotten a lot of highlights on is the need for masonry work. So we're looking at, could we have cement mixers in the parking lot? And could we have people building brick walls and knocking them down and all that? My son's volunteered to come knock down all the brick walls because he just loves destroying stuff. And it'd be great if he did that somewhere else other than my house. But the point is that we're looking to create this kind of introducer environment. And then once again, we want to connect that with the existing fabric, the technical colleges, universities, the HBCUs. We see this as a way to kind of create kind of this development, this talent development pipeline. What I would throw out to you guys is a challenge is a couple of things. Truist has come to me. Truist has a passion for helping minority communities. They have a passion for doing things that can address systemic issues in the minority community. So I can tell you this, and I don't know how to do this. And this is where my buddy, my law school friend, Brenton Brown, and I maybe put our legal heads together. But I will tell you that Truist would support an effort, and they would stand beside anybody that wants to go in front of the legislature and lobby for, and I'm going to say this poorly, but the bottom line is, if you're an African-American male or anybody or female or whatever in this state, and you have a drug conviction and you try to get a job, that will keep you from getting certain licenses, that'll keep you from getting some certain certifications. Truist, I think, in other states has successfully worked with those states to get rid of that or to pass legislation to address that. If I went home tonight and I prayed and I said, "Dear Lord Jesus, what would be something crazy that I could do that would be wild and crazy and create a huge opportunity for a lot of people?" That would be one. And so, you guys tell me, Brenton, tell me what you want to do. I'll get the cavalry in, but that's a challenge. I can tell you, Truist would support that all day and twice on Sunday. I believe we could draft that legislation out of this commission. I don't need my name on it. I don't need to be on stage, but that is a bold stroke we could take. The other thing, and this is not this is not from me, but it's from Tim Davis, who's in our incubator. Tim Davis, fantastic leader in the minority community. He's been an incubator company with us forever. But and also Cedric Barnes, who's actually one of our companies that came out of the incubator. He's doing construction, and he's doing contractor. He's basically acting as a general contractor. The other thing, and I was talking to Tim Davis about this, and maybe I'll get him to come talk to this group about it because he can articulate better than me. But one of the things Tim Davis said is that we may need to look at the procurement rules to say, and like I said, I'm throwing it out there, guys. I'm being bold. That white women are not minorities, or that for certain contracts, white females do not need to be considered minorities, because his frustration is that a lot of African Americans lose the opportunity. These minority things get co-opted by basically white females and people in the majority understanding how to maybe give their wife 51% control of the company and let them get the contract, and they can label it as minority. The other one is we have a lot of big contractors in the state, other people like that, and they come in and they have to have minorities. So what they do, they bring a minority contractor in, they cut out a certain piece of that work. The other one would be how do we make sure legislatively that the work and the money goes more evenly between those two, and that the minorities aren't just brought in to be kind of a check the box for those contracts. And I think other states have done some similar stuff too, namely Georgia, in the Atlanta area. And so I know I've got another friend, John Gathers, who's with the SBDC. John has a lot of knowledge of how they're doing some different things in Georgia. So that's my update and crazy ideas. So thank you. And I apologize for going so long.
No. Thank you for letting us know about the work that you're doing. I think you're definitely doing some very worthwhile work as always, and whatever we can do to kind of support, especially the work that you've done with Truist, or expanding what you've done with the Meeting Place Church and Bishop Freeman and others. We're definitely in support of that. Kind of towards one of the last points you made, I do know that Senator Darrell Jackson introduced Senate Bill 25, which is called the Workforce Opportunity Act. And that act basically would say that the state could not inquire about criminal history until an applicant is selected for an interview. And so kind of taking that quote unquote, it's an expansion of the kind of ban the box initiative. I know the city of Columbia passed it, I think last year, the year before. And so he extended that to the state level. Last I checked, I think it was either in committee or maybe been passed out of committee, but I don't think it crossed over. So that might be something that we can look at. I know as an agency, we are working with the Department of Corrections on some second chance initiatives, trying to assist those who are reintegrating into society after incarceration. So what we'll do is definitely follow up. I placed in the chat box right before you started. We have an advisory committee strategic planning survey. And so that's in the chat. And so if you just take a few moments to kind of talk about some of those priorities, that'll come directly back to our research division, and that'll help us in our short and long-term planning kind of going forward. All right, definitely thank you. Next, Ms. Lugo, I don't know if you have an opportunity to kind of update us on some information, what's going on in your area and how we can assist you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Brown, and good morning, everybody. The chamber is very busy these days, for sure. We continue to work with the Community Navigator pilot program that comes through the SBA. Our hub is SCCMA, and we are already in our second year. It's amazing how time flies. And what we're trying to do is to, while we're working with our clients and helping them in incorporating their businesses and in educating them on the business side, we're trying to get more funding to expand the program. It works. The amount of people that are coming through and it's overwhelming, and they need all the help that we can get. Unfortunately, the funding is not enough for us, and I have 3 staff that work part-time, and I'm the only one that works full-time, and it's really overwhelming when you have to even do their business plans, because our business owners or entrepreneurs are on the basics. Even if they're doing business, they are not incorporated, and they need to understand that they need to do either that or, get their EIN and get a business account. That is so basic, and that's what we're dealing with right now. Of course, it's about trust, and our people, and I guess that this is across the board, they need to trust the organizations that are out there trying to help them. It's hard to get to an organization that is here for a little bit of time and then disappears, and then all of a sudden you are again on your own. But the chamber has been here for more than 16 years, and we are looking to be here for the long run and to continue to help. So if anyone listening and they want to know more about our job and what we do and the work that we're doing, I think that everybody has my contact information. I'm willing to talk to anybody that wants to help us, especially in the area of funding. We have the programs. We know what to do. We have the ear of the community, and we continue to grow. We just need more partners, and we need more help. Thank you, Mr. Brown, for the opportunity to speak to the group.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for the work that you're doing. And so once again, if you place that information in the advisory committee survey, we'll definitely work on getting you the support that you need. Next, Ms. Oakman, if you're able to kind of come on the call, if you have an opportunity to kind of talk about yourself and your office and how we can assist. And if not, then I see Kathy's iPhone. So I believe, is that Ms. Dixon with Apprenticeship Carolina?
That would be correct.
Yes, ma'am. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Mr. Brown. So thank you for being able to stay on the call this morning. I'm actually filling in for Amy Firestone, VP of Apprenticeship Carolina, that formerly held that particular position. So just a couple updates, because as I mentioned, this is my first time actually joining and being a part of this conversation. But on the aspects of Apprenticeship Carolina, we still just continue to do the works that we do here across the state to be able to expand and grow registered apprenticeship opportunities made available to both youth and adult participants. So we have a wide slate of employers right now that we do work with that do offer these type opportunities, but of course, we're always looking for avenues and opportunities to be able to grow that. For those on the call, with the apprenticeship opportunities, we're able to work across all industries, everything from construction to manufacturing to hospitality. And so again, we're just maintaining and looking at different avenues of how we can continue to grow that. One thing we are working on right now is hopefully to be able to launch, fingers crossed, hopefully in the next few months, is something we've been working on for quite some time now, is our apprenticeship job board. And we feel that that's going to be a great avenue to be able to connect potential apprentices that are interested in going into an apprenticeship program, because we do get a lot of inquiries, throughout the day and throughout the month from folks that are just inquiring about, who actually offers apprenticeship programs or where they can actually go to get more information about that. So this has been something that we've been working on for quite some time now, but I think we're at a place where we're, soon to be launching it. But I think that's going to be just another great opportunity for us to be able to expand our efforts to, again, not just growing apprenticeship opportunities, but also to be able to connect individuals in so they can actually go into those programs. Because, for many people, going into an apprenticeship program can be very life-changing, because it certainly, allows you to be able to come in, to, an employer or work within a position that you've expressed an interest in, but really be able to utilize the opportunity to really be able to throw and grab, and, also to it can be very life-changing for a lot of individuals. And, we still continue to have a lot of grants available through Apprenticeship Carolina to be able to support businesses as well, as they're, coming on board, with their apprenticeship programs. We have funding available to assist them with their implementation of their programs, but also to help absorb some costs that might be attached to the education that might be attached to their apprenticeship programs. So again, we're just, just continuing to do the works that we have been recognized for here across the state to grow those opportunities, to bring more exposure to those opportunities. And one thing in particular, I guess I would say earlier, which I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about.
I'm sorry, you froze up.
I'm sorry.
Okay. We can
All
hear
right. Okay, so there was one thing in particular you mentioned earlier about the fact sheets. So is that something that's actually available on your website to where I can actually go to get more information about that?
Yes, ma'am. I believe that those have been placed on our website. If not, then what we will definitely do is we can get you copies of that.
Okay.
But it's not, if it's on the website, we'll definitely send the link out. If
Okay.
not, we'll make sure that everyone on the call has copies of those that have been updated.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Yes,
And I was trying to write down as fast as you were talking earlier, but I think there were like 3 groups that you guys are looking at doing fact sheets for: faith-based, second chance, and what was that third group, if you don't mind me asking?
it was this group here, the small and minority.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
Perfect.
ma'am.
Perfect.
So we currently have a fact sheet, but it's in the process of being updated as of right now.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Once we get those, we'll definitely make sure that everyone has an opportunity to have those at their disposal.
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak on behalf of Apprenticeship Carolina this morning.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you. We know that Y'all left, Dr. Firestone just left recently to go off and work for the federal government and do some great things there. But we're constantly singing, the praises of your office. I think y'all, people who know the great work that you're doing, and we wish the larger state knew. And I know that y'all are really working to get that word out. So thank you
Certainly.
for the work that you're doing. We have a wonderful technical college system here in the state. In fact, from my understanding, we're one of the only technical college systems that actually ties into workforce development, which sets us apart from the nation. So Costa and I had a chance to tour Midlands Tech, 2 of their campuses with Dr. Rames not too long ago, and we were just blown away. And I have an 8-year-old, so he will definitely be looking at our technical colleges in the next several years. So thank you for all your work.
Absolutely. Thank you for those comments.
Yes, ma'am.
And Kathy, I'll follow up with you on what we're doing and see how we can work together on some stuff. So
That sounds good. Thank you so much.
Mr. Brown, I'm sorry for my delay in responding.
Not a problem, not a problem at all.
I had to get my headset because my speaker is blown on my laptop.
Yes, ma'am, not a problem.
Okay. But good morning. I am Mary Oakman. I serve as the Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Chief Diversity Officer for the South Carolina Technical College system. So I was invited to attend this meeting by the Interim Apprenticeship VP, Kirsten Pratt, to see if there was opportunity for us to collaborate in any effort. If I could be a resource of you all, please do not hesitate to let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
Right,
Thank you, and don't, as my pastor might say, don't let this be a one-time thing. So please,
yes, sir.
come back. We definitely, like I said before, the work that the technical college system is doing in the state is absolutely amazing. So whatever we can do to assist you, we would definitely do so.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Right.
And I believe that we've covered everybody on the call, and we're getting close to the end of the hour. So once again, just want to thank you. There's been a lot of information that's been placed in the chat, and of course, everyone has had a chance, hopefully, to virtually meet Jasmine. We have moved into some new office space within the past several months, and so one thing that Dr. DaCosta is adamant about is moving off of Zoom, and so I can't say this with 100% certainty, but please look forward for sometime within the next year, within this calendar year, for us to have some in-person opportunities here in the office to kind of meet, mix and mingle, and kind of talk more about the work that we all do and how we can push the state forward. And then one thing that I forgot very quickly, I believe it was in March or maybe the end of February, we were going to do a tour of the Greenville-Spartanburg International Airport. Unfortunately, we had to postpone that because of the weather, and we're still in talks with their leadership trying to reschedule that. So once a date has been set, more information will be sent out, so that hopefully we'll be able to do that tour to learn not just about the physical structure of the airport, but also how individuals can do business with the airport as well. And so we definitely thank you for that. And also in the chat box, Sharice has placed in there that the fact sheets for our program areas are located in our minority population division pages on our website. And then the link has been sent for our research division as well. So as always, if you have any questions of us, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to Jasmine. Just want to give one quick second to see if anybody has anything else to speak on before we respect your time and give you the rest of your day back.
Brenton, I did want to throw something out there to give folks something to kind of think about to lead with. First of all, one thing I did forget to mention is that Envision AESC made a $810 million investment, many of you may have heard of, for a plant coming here to Florence, South Carolina. And with that said, we're seeing that, all over, but we're seeing a pipeline problem that's not necessarily starting in education. We're seeing a pipeline problem that's starting because we have a major company here. Just to give you an example. We have a major company here that approached me and approached the chamber about not being able to hire diverse individuals. They just couldn't get them on board. And it wasn't because of drug tests. It wasn't because of their acumen. It was because they failed to pass the exam. They had to take a test before they came on board. And so, had a meeting with them and and had several meetings and went through some things with them. And so I decided one day that, a lot of people failing this test, I'm going to take this test, and I failed the test. So it's not an affluence issue. I don't know if it's cultural. I don't remember really the question. I was so taken back. But I think companies at some point we're gonna have to engage companies about what is on these exams that they're giving people, because it's not just the people aren't ready to go to work. I think that there's something else there, and this is specifically manufacturing, of course, not all fields, but that's something that companies may need to start looking at, is that it's not the acumen of the individuals taking the test. It may be the questions based on the personalities and cultures, et cetera. There's a gap there that's missing. And I think that's something that we're gonna have to start looking at, because for a company to approach me and say, and this is a pretty big company, to approach me and say, our biggest problem is we cannot find diverse individuals because they cannot pass this test. It's a huge issue. And then the fact that I went on, I think I'm a pretty affluent guy, and I went on there and couldn't pass the test. So, what is it? So that's just something, I'm just throwing that out there, because as we're talking about apprenticeships and workforce and building that gap and rebuilding the workforce, that's something I kind of want to throw out there, because it was a problem. And when we got an $810 million factory coming here, that's going to have a training facility, of course, but we really want to make sure that the corporations kind of meet the workforce halfway.
No, thank you for that follow up. And if you could, please send some more information about that test. That's the one thing I've noticed in years past. People have had, we've heard of companies having these, for lack of a better phrase, these entrance tests, and the workforce, for whatever reason, their skill set not aligning with what the company is necessarily looking for. So if you could send some more information, that'll definitely give us, I would like to take that test to see how I would fare on it, and so we can kind of move forward. So thank you for that. And right before we leave, I see that Miss Lacenta Lewis Ellis has joined us, and so we're almost at the end. What we just asked very quickly, if you could just kind of give us some updates on what's going on in your professional world and how we may be of assistance to you, and then we'll close out today's meeting.
Oh, so I had my time wrong. Hello, everyone. I had the meeting at 11. So did y'all meet earlier than 11?
Yes, ma'am. We started at 10 o'clock.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
It's not a problem. We'll definitely make sure you have a copy of the recording and all the information that was shared as well.
Okay. All right. Well, so as always, I do always have a lot going on in the community. I want to thank Greg Davis for coming to a meeting we had this week with DOT about the electric charging stations that DOT is looking to do throughout the state. And we were able to bring some local electricians to the table to have a roundtable discussion. So that was really great to be able to do that. And then also, I just post, if y'all ever have events that's for entrepreneurs, small business owners in the community, please make sure you share it with me, because I make sure we get it out to the community about different things that we're doing, whether it's training, any type of programs that support small business owners. I try to make sure that I spread the word. So I have a lot going on when it comes to work and stuff, but I won't even belabor y'all by sharing all of that. I do apologize. I for some reason I had the meeting at 11 o'clock on my schedule, but I'm sure Cherie told me it was 10 and I just messed it up.
It's not a problem.
Yeah, but I'll go back. If you send the Zoom link, I'll go back and just watch it.
Yes,
if I have any questions, I'll send it out, and I'll make sure I'm on time for the next one.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. It's not a problem at all. We understand.
Yeah. Thank y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. I know that you're super busy. Had a chance to hear you on the radio a few weeks back, and so that was a very enlightening hour talking about your experiences. So I learned a lot. So once again, thank you. And we just want to thank everybody on the call today. So as we said before, this meeting has been recorded, and so we will send it out. And also we'll send out the information as well. If you get an opportunity, please take just a few moments out of your day to take the Advisory Committee Strategic Planning Survey. That helps us in our short and long-term planning goals here as an agency, and also helps us to know how we can assist you. And as always, we want to thank Jasmine. You'll be receiving, of course, more updates and information from her as she kind of settles more into this role. Excuse me. And so just want to thank you once again for your time. Have a great day, and don't hesitate to let us know if there's anything further that we can do for you. So have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.